Whatever happened to the people that were starting a distillery in Montana? Did you ever hear from them?
No, I never heard from them. And I don't, I think it was an idea. Like they had the pieces in place, but they were still getting feedback and maybe like the slowdown
They heard
scared
what
them
my
away.
advice was. They heard what my advice was, and they listened to it, and they probably saved a shit ton of money.
Maybe.
God, I'm helping. God, I'm helping people all the
No
time.
one listened to your advice, I'm sure. A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
If you're listening and are upset about that, so am I. I'm Dan.
And I'm Gold Eagle Jake.
I'm back.
Welcome back, Jake.
Yeah, I was sick last week, so I missed the episode with Pat, but it was awesome. So if you did not listen to that episode, I highly recommend it. Pat is super knowledgeable about whiskey and the industry. There's a lot of cool stuff at Whiskey Acres that's coming up. So yeah, definitely worth listening to that last episode. Even if I'm not on it.
More reasons to listen.
So we have kind of a continuation to our predictions episode and the Jim Beam, temporary shutdown news. But real quick, before we get into that, I just want to give a shout out to Adam Albin, who's a regular listener. He gave me a sample of Michter's 10 Rye. It's the 2024 F. So thanks, Adam. Adam has a podcast called To Catch a Con Man. I highly recommend listening to that, especially if you're in like the Lake County, Illinois area. It's really, really interesting podcast, and the story is not particularly great because a lot of people get screwed over, but it's really entertaining, and he has a lot of really good information on how to avoid being conned by really shitty people. So yeah, give that a listen.
Is that like a Illinois local thing that was going on?
Yeah,
Definitely sounds like an
a guy
Illinois thing.
operating in the Lake County area for like 30 years that was conning people out of millions of dollars over that time period.
Not in Illinois.
Yeah, you'd think.
I did see today that Chicago came out and said that they wanted to buy the parking meters back, but they were too expensive.
Yeah,
which
no
made
shit.
Which made me laugh.
So tonight we're going to talk about actually another user submitted idea. This one's from JMoon3303 from Spotify. So based on the based on the projections, here's an idea for a future episode. If each of you was running a producing distillery, what would you do during this slowdown period beyond modernizing? And how would you make the distillery more of an experience? What would you produce? What new brand building actions would you take? If each of you owned an NDP, what would you do to differentiate your business? So two separate kind of topics there. Dan, you're always full of ideas. Do you want to start off with what you would do as a distilling producer?
Yeah.
Well, and
so,
also, just to throw
Go
it
ahead,
out there,
Jake.
we did do an episode months ago. I mean, this was probably 6 months ago, maybe even a year ago, on if we were starting our own distillery, what would we do? So we're kind of putting together 3 different episodes here, and it's perfect timing with the Jim Beam announcing the slowdown. So yeah, we can go back and also use our distilleries that we created then to talk about what we would do to get through this time period where people just aren't buying as much whiskey.
Jake R. didn't want to do this because he wanted to start a shitty distillery, and it's already gone out of business at this point, even though it's hypothetical, and now it's just going to continue to go out of business.
I was the one that said we should do this. I don't know what you're talking about.
You said the episode, and then I said, should we talk about our old distilleries? Like, oh, I don't know.
Oh, because I don't even remember what I said. My notes are gone. I threw them away.
My notes are mental, and I'm pretty sure Gold Eagle Jake and me are in decent shape right now. So on the NDP side will be different.
Yeah.
So when I said, I think my first thing was that when someone asked us if we were going to start our own distillery, what would we do it, how would we do it, things like that. I think my first statement was that I wouldn't, and I still stand beside that statement.
Yeah,
but
that's
in this
not an option. You're already
I know.
Like $3 million distillery, and you've got to deal with it.
Yeah, so the way I said I would set mine up was if I was going to do something, I would want it to be more of a destination style thing. My distillery is going to be located near Bozeman, Montana, to catch in on the tourism. And my plan was that it was going to be a very small distillery, mainly producing just for the distillery itself, but it was going to be built on a lot of acreage with different venues and things like that. We've talked about it in the past that whiskey tourism is actually growing despite whiskey sales slowing. And I think that's kind of the key is not just having a distillery set up where the only way you're going to get any type of tourism is from straight tours of the facility.
Or revenue in general from whiskey
Fair.
sales.
Yep. Mine was what I had said was I was going to have more of experiences, more of stuff on the range, more of like Airbnb style, like, someone did it where they built like small, like little getaway cabins out of old, like big wine barrels that were like 500-gallon wine barrels and things. That's kind of the setup I was going for. In my setup, it doesn't really make sense to have like a massive style restaurant like you see at Bardstown or things, just because it's more of a get away from the city style of feel that I was going for. So that and some of the small nightly events that some people do probably wouldn't work. Again, more or less just pushing the venue side of things at that point. So the way I was going to set up, similar to like Castle and Key does a lot of weddings, things like that. That income is recession proof, baby. Weddings, funerals, babies, and pets. That's where you want to be at. That money is always being spent. So I would really highly focus on continuing to do those things. Be more of a destination and a getaway and a weekend thing. Some things that you're seeing some distilleries doing are being open more nights and things for smaller distilleries. That, again, for the style that I'm working for, wouldn't be as much. Maybe some bigger events on the weekend, be it bigger, well-known bands or things like that would be more of what I would go for. But I think if you're looking at the style of distillery I talked about of being more of the distillery is kind of there as the secondary part of it. I think that's kind of almost the mentality you'd have to take of, besides just a $10, $15 whiskey tour, how can we get people to come here and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars not on whiskey?
Well, that's kind of the setup that Hard Truth has in Indiana, where it's like, I mean, not the distillery is not really secondary to the rest of it, but like,
right,
they have an equally like proportionate restaurant, patio, entertainment space, like a concert area, all the other like fun, like outdoors
ATV
activities
rides
and stuff. Yeah,
jungle cruise. Like even if you're not
cabins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Even if you're not a huge whiskey fan and you do like to drink, it is a very fun place to go. And they have a lot of different things that they offer, including a whole building and area of the distillery that's focused on like rum and tiki cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
They got the brewery side. They got
Yeah, so that's the vibe that you're going for, right, Dan?
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
Too bad that wouldn't work.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't work. all the distilleries that are like that are hurting real bad. I'm sure Hard Truth's hurting real bad for getting people to come there and spend tons of money on things other than whiskey that are probably have higher profit margins. Must suck.
So
Thought you had an MBA.
So I would actually do.
Hold on. What was your distillery before we get started?
So, from what
you were a high product
to me from memory, I was like a high production contract distiller, out east somewhere. I don't remember where I said. I might have said North or South Carolina.
I thought you said one of the Carolinas. I think it might have been North, but yeah,
because like there's not a huge presence out there for whiskey in general.
It'd be great for tourism then.
Well, if you're the only whiskey distillery in North Carolina, or the only big distillery in North or South Carolina, then yeah, it would be. So anyway, I would kind of lean, I think, almost the opposite to what, I mean, similar vein, but opposite crowd, I think, is what I would go for. Like, I would go for, depending on how successful I was, I'd probably shoot for doing like on-premises hotel or like lodging, and try and get like a very high-end like chef and restaurant set up. So I think those types of things are what like millennials and people younger than us are kind of gravitating towards, where they want to, if you go to a distillery, you also want to have dinner, and it's nice to like spend a weekend or whatever visiting places. I think that's like one of my biggest gripes with Kentucky is like hoteling is like pretty difficult there. Like you either stay in Louisville or like there's not a whole lot of like, it's not easy to like get around the Kentucky Trail.
Yeah, there's definitely no way to do what we did and hire a bus to take us all around the trail.
That's like super expensive.
That's
like
so
most
hard
people
to
are
do.
not gonna
That wasn't
split a
when you
bus
split
with
it.
12 people.
When you split it 10 ways, that's stupid cheap.
So it's getting better. There's starting to become a little bit like more hotels. They just built a really cool hotel in Bardstown where they're like focused on high-end food and cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
But you are right. Like for the longest time, and even in most parts of Kentucky right now, there's no Ubers. Like there's only Ubers in Louisville.
Yeah.
So there's one taxi service in Bardstown, and it's super expensive if you want to go anywhere outside of Bardstown. The hotels are very limited, so you're most of the time ending up in an Airbnb, which is making a lot more Airbnbs pop up that are focused on just the whiskey tourism scene. But that part of it is still pretty far behind where it should be with how many people are going to Kentucky to visit.
Yeah.
And Airbnb is probably going to be gone in a few years anyways. They're struggling right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're switching away from like the whole stay experience to now like booking experiences. So they're
trying to diversify a little bit.
Yeah, they're trying to get out of the hotel side of things, basically.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like it's kind of a nightmare for them, but
yeah.
I mean, I think the direction, I mean, for Dan's setup and his hypothetical distillery totally makes sense, keeping things like rustic and stuff. I think I'd push more for like a higher class experience, not necessarily throwing shade at Dan's. You
can't throw shade at mine because mine's open, yours is closed. So,
I mean, you're a camping guy. I'm not. I want to go.
My setup is gonna be glamping style.
Oh, that's okay, but I want to
like heated, air conditioned yurts, hot outdoor showers powered by solar. Like that's what I'm going for. I've stayed at one of those out here in Utah before.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, I want to sit in a nice bar with a big chandelier and a fancy bartender making my Manhattan. I drink with my pinky up.
That's because you're a 23-year-old girl. But...
So here's a
Yeah,
question
that's
because it was
I would
part
focus
of the listener's question. What would you do in regards to if you would do anything, creating like new labels or new brands or new releases of whiskey during this time? Or are you
Yeah,
solely only going to focus on getting people to come and visit?
Well, he's a contract
Yeah.
distiller, so the label thing doesn't really help him too
But
much.
you're not
No,
having
but-
any of your own labels like MGP or Middle West.
No,
who
there
do
would
put
be
out their own.
no, there would for sure be a standard like set of SKUs. But like if I was gonna shut down one of my, let's just say I had one still. If I had so much stuff that I was gonna shut down my still for a year for production, I would start running experiments and have my distillers cook up some interesting mash bills, different yeast strains, different like corn varietals or other rye varietals, like whatever. Because you might as well use the equipment if you're not going to produce and do something interesting.
What happens when they
on
taste
the
like shit?
distillery? Yeah, I was gonna say the problem is on
If
the
it tastes
distillery
like shit,
side.
then who cares?
Then you just wasted a lot of money. The problem on the distillery side with
I'm
that.
not producing, so what does it matter?
Well, what
I'm
did you
not
just
taking
make
up
then?
Production time.
No, but
How's
you're
somebody
wasting
going to buy
material
it
costs.
if it tastes like
I'm
shit?
not going to produce like 10,000 gallons of experiments. I'm
No,
gonna
but if you have a
produce,
large
like,
still,
Well,
you're
then
gonna
what
run
if it tastes great?
then start producing it.
He doesn't know anything.
There's no downside to running experiments.
Oh, yeah, there is.
No.
Running experiments for
Well,
experiments'
look,
sake has
if I could
downside.
afford to shut down my distillery for a year, I could afford to run some experiments throughout the year.
God, I would never invest in this company of yours. I would run so far, so fast. Jesus.
So you're not going to do a damn thing with your actual distillery. You wouldn't do a single thing.
No, I'd focus my time on getting people to come and spend money on other things as well.
I don't know. If I was a contract distiller and I was primarily producing whiskey for other people, and I had enough sitting where I didn't have to produce for anyone else or myself, I think it makes total sense to do some experimentation.
And just burn more money. Love it. Love it.
But like if things picked back up, you would never have the time to do experimentation at that frequency.
Yeah, if they don't, you're just out tens of thousands of dollars a day. It's all right. It's fair. Good point.
Why
Good
would
point,
it be
Jake.
tens of $1,000s a day?
It's about each barrel in terms of material cost is going to be around $1,000 plus about $350 for the barrel.
Okay, but what if I'm only producing 1 or 2 barrels?
So you're only
That's
going
not that
to have
much
1,000 gallons still. You're not going to be a big contract producer with 1,000 gallons still.
Why would you can't run a partial load in a big still?
I mean, it's not efficient.
Or you can have a
No, but
secondary
it's
still where
you're
you're doing
experimenting and
these
you're not running
experiments.
production, so it
So
doesn't
it's, all
matter.
right, so he'll buy a second still during his
He'll
shutdown.
get
Good
he'll
call.
have a second
Good
still.
call. That's
I mean, if
we're gonna
if
get
you're
new
a-
still,
if you're a-
new
If you're a
fermenters,
big
new
production
everything, yeah.
distillery, you might have another smaller still for experiments. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here and get some discussion flowing.
Even
I'm
if I
not.
didn't though, let's say
You're just trying to get discussion flowing. You don't believe this 100% at all, Jake. To be fair, you're just trying to keep the discussion going.
no,
I'm trying
so
to work him. I'm
even
trying
if
to
I
work him.
had, like a 2-foot column still, you could run however much volume you wanted. You don't need to run 50,000 gallons or whatever. Run enough for
if you have a
couple
very
barrels.
large column still, you're not running 1,000 gallons, or you're not running 1,000 gallons of mash through a very large column still. It's not going to be efficient. You're going to spend
but
more
it doesn't
money.
matter because
Yeah,
you're
money
not
doesn't matter.
producing.
Money doesn't matter.
I think
good.
you're
right.
missing the point.
You're right.
Like,
No. I know
you're
exactly
not-
what you're talking about.
You're
I
not
don't
running
think
production.
you.
So
I don't
what
think
else
the
would you do with that equipment?
I don't not spend more money on it. I don't think you understand the distillery aspect of these things. Just tossing that out there.
I don't know. You're missing.
You know how much gas you're gonna run? You're gonna have to burn through to heat up a
I'm not
massive
saying
still.
it's free, but it's not going to be like enough to like sink the company to run 4 or 5 experiments throughout the year.
You're right, Jake. You're right.
No, like if running a few experiments throughout the year is enough to kill your distillery,
you won. I said
then,
you're right,
you're
Jake.
fucked anyway.
Jake, you're right. You won. I said you're right.
I don't know. Leave a comment.
Move on to mine?
Tell us who's right, because
Can you bring us back home, Jake? We kind of got off there in the midst on the second one, kind of like the last time when we did this. So, Jake, you're in the best
before
spot.
a fist fight breaks out.
Your distillery is in the best spot out of all of this because
Thank you.
were going to have a Kentucky distillery, and the one thing that's going to be easiest is to piggyback off of other people that are coming to the area for tourism, because like we talked about. There's more money coming into whiskey tourism yet. That's still rising. And being in Kentucky is going to be the easiest way to piggyback off other big distilleries getting people in.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to have it in Kentucky. I think the majority of people, when they think of bourbon, they think of Kentucky. And I do think other destinations can definitely draw some crowd. But at that point, you are needing to look for other experiences like what you're doing with the horseback riding and things like that, and what Jake's doing with the, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
No. People go to North Carolina all the time. Don't worry about it.
People do go to North Carolina or South Carolina all the time. What are you talking about?
So they do, and I to give him credit, it's a big brewery scene, and there's not a lot of distilleries. And we all know that people usually get into beer first and then get into whiskey. So he could be ahead of the curve in North Carolina, South Carolina. But I knew I wanted it Kentucky because Kentucky still gets the most visitors focused on bourbon. And my whole plan initially was not to rush and release anything until it truly was ready. And I thought it was going to be, or I thought it tastes incredible. So I was planning for the long haul here. I wasn't, trying to make a quick buck with that. So I believe I said I wanted to have a legit restaurant where people would be attracted to come just to get some really, really good food, a nice outdoor area with some different yard games. And now, if I didn't say it before, I'm definitely thinking like a live music stage, somewhere that's going to be open late night with live bands. Not as big as like Hard Truth, but a decent size stage that can take in a pretty big crowd. So what I would be focusing on is the restaurant. Again, make that as strong as possible, make that as good as possible. But now I was thinking, how do I attract real bourbon people, the people that are listening to this podcast, the people who have done all the tours, they've done barrel thieving. What is something that distilleries don't really offer that can get you to go to their distillery and do? And I think the next step is to do some sort of blending experience, because I don't know any distilleries that let you sign up on their website to do some kind of immersive blending or blending class where you're sitting there and instead of everyone does bottle your own whiskey now. So what about like creating your own blend and then bottling your own blend? And Mattingly kind of does that, but something a little bit more controlled, a little bit more education focused, where you have somebody who has a lot of experience in blending, kind of going over what they're thinking in their head when they're creating a blend. Shout out to Barrelcraft. Like, this seems like a huge opportunity for Barrelcraft to jump all over this, because they're all about blending and creating high quality blends. So what if you could go there and create a micro blend? They give you 10 samples and talk about what the different samples will do to change the blend. And then you can create a 5 bottle, 10 bottle, 15 bottle blend and take that home. I think that would be a great revenue source and something that a lot of distilleries don't offer.
Yeah, like,
Now the
have
other,
it be like a real like masterclass, like even with your like head distiller, because if you're not producing, your head distiller doesn't have as much to do. So
The
get them
only
out there.
thing I can
teaching
think of
people.
similar was, and it's not super similar, it'd be like Oaken when you go do the whole pick your mash bill, pick your finishing skewer, all that stuff. But yeah, no, I get where you're going.
yeah. So something like, 4 hour long, like whole afternoon is taken up. We're going to learn how to blend, and you're going to create your own blend where you can take home as little as 3 bottles, as much as, 30 bottles if you really want to. I think that would get people excited and get people, Christmas gifts. That's a great idea. I would go and do that if I wasn't in the industry. Now, the other side of it is, how do you get people who are traveling with, their wife, for example? With shout out to my wife, she gave me this idea. She's like, we've done all the tours, and I don't really like to drink bourbon neat. So what would I get excited for about going to a new distillery besides having a good restaurant is a focus on some, other types of cocktails, or maybe like create your own cocktail experience, or just having, some good drinks on the menu that are not totally focused around whiskey, some untraditional cocktails, like what Hard Truth is doing with that rum tiki experience. You can go and get something totally off the beaten path. Or like, I know a lot of breweries do things now where like you can send them their distillate and they can turn it into, use your recipe to make a beer out of it, whatever. So something for non-whiskey drinkers to attract that crowd, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that travel to Kentucky as a family, as a couple, and one of them is not really as much into whiskey as the other. They're just getting dragged along. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree on the cocktail front for sure. Like, I think we're gonna continue to see cocktails rise in popularity. So yeah, I think especially getting it like interactive, I think is really important if you're trying to bring people to your distillery.
All right. Now the tougher one. How do you get, if you're an NDP, how do you get your stuff to stand out?
Yeah, that's
I know my
really
answer.
hard. I mean, I don't know. I feel like
I would spend you spend
finishing.
all your money on marketing.
Yeah.
You spend all your money on bottle development, label development, marketing, because that's what, look at Rare Character. They're bottling the same thing as most NDPs are, but people want it because it's got the color-coded wax. It's got the custom sticker on the front. Like, they nailed it with the marketing. So I would spend a lot of money on marketing, and hopefully, which I wouldn't have because my focus was patience and time. But hopefully you didn't buy a bunch of barrels 3 or 4 years ago, and now you paid a premium for those, where the barrel prices have dropped significantly in the last 1 to 2 years, and you can have a really aggressive price point to kind of steal back a lot of those customers in the NDP field.
Yeah, I think focusing on, like, most are doing like single barrels, but trying to maximize value on single barrels. Kind of building off of your point, Jake, like getting really cheap but really good barrels that are ready to turn over quickly, I think is the best move right now. And like last night at the Rye January tasting, we tried the Silver Springs rye, which I had never tried before and was pretty damn good. And that's what, $35 right now, like for a 7 or 8 year rye,
7 or 8 year rye at barrel proof,
which is crazy. Like, yeah, at barrel proof, single barrel bottle, like That's, I think, how you distinguish yourself in the NDP world right now. Not coming out with another, $120 bottle of MGP 5-year bourbon.
So Gold Eagle Jake, you gave the smart answer. I'm going to give a completely opposite answer. I am going to spend very little money on marketing and try and get free viral marketing. And the way I do that is like, I'm going to go all in on meme bottles. So give me like a main product line is going to be the Epstein files. And then if you want it barrel proof, it's going to be unredacted. Give me a freak off blend. Like we all want those. And like, just like anything that's in the news, I am making a meme label and a meme SKU. And I am leaning hard into it because I don't care if you're walking up and down the shelf stores at Gold Eagle and you see a Greenland USA blend, you're like, ooh, I might want to try that. And that's what all I'm doing. No money on marketing. I want to have the dumbest, stupidest bottle names out there that are just up with current events and see someone post it on Instagram and someone's like, holy shit, that's hilarious. I want that.
I mean, that is
and
marketing.
That's how I'm spending it. Because that way I'm spending as little money as possible, knowing I'm probably going to go under as an NDP anyways. And to do that, I am going to just lean right into the memes. And that's my answer for NDPs.
Fair. I mean, that's kind of what I meant with marketing, as I said, like coming up with cool ideas.
Oh, but you're spending money on marketing. Like you're thinking more like the
I'm
wine
not.
style, though.
I'm not.
You're thinking like the
but I'm not.
Cool
I'm not running.
Like wine.
Yeah, sure. I'm not running ads on like pushing my whiskey. I'm like paying someone who really knows what they're doing to come up with a really, really cool design and label. And so I guess yes, it's different, but also more focused on creating that catch from the start and then let people discover the whiskey after.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to put shitty whiskey in a bottle. Like I would never want to put shitty whiskey in a bottle. Like I want it to be good whiskey, but I want the reason to grab it is because it's like, oh, well, this is different.
It's like Jepson's bourbon. Like people bought it because they're like, oh, Malort bourbon. And then they came back the next day and they're like, wait, that was actually really good. I want to buy more.
I'm just leaning heavily into meme culture and like to be slightly offensive enough that it gets publicity and people can't tell if it's good offensive or bad offensive. And that's what I'm shooting for.
With you, it's always bad offensive.
It's always bad, exactly. But some people might not know.
So on that, or with that premise, do you think NDPs really have like as good a shot of success as like we talked about maybe 4 or 5 months ago?
I don't think many people have a chance of success right now if you're coming out with new names or new labels. Like I think it's a really tough time to be coming out with that stuff, just in all honesty. Which I know I'm always on the more pessimistic side, or I'm on the pessimistic side of these things. But yeah, like it's hard out there right now for in the words of the movie Hustle and Flow, it's hard out there for a pimp, boys.
I mean, I think going for value is the only way an NDP is going to really make a splash. I mean, like the rare characters, have some staying power just through their brand recognition, but like I wouldn't want to come out with $100 and something MGP product right now, unless it's really old and you age state it.
No, I mean, I was talking to actually the master distiller of MGP came by the store today, and we lined up a couple fun barrel picks for this year because they just had a big price reduction in their products, which we saw that coming. I think we've talked about this before. Like, why would they not? Like, they're the first ones that came out to say that they have a surplus of whiskey. and you got to get rid of it somehow. So might as well take back some of that market share. But yeah, they are going to start doing 11-year MGP barrel picks and retail them around $75.
Yeah, that's. I mean, they can afford to do that, which is awesome.
Right.
I mean that. Yeah, that's. I think how NDPs need to start pricing their bottles if they really want to stick around.
I mean, the problem is those a lot of the barrels that are coming out right now, or the barrels they're using for their blends, are when they bought them at high cost.
No, yeah, understood.
And
but like,
and so it's like, do you take a bath on these to try and survive, and have the next round that you're getting for cheaper push on, or do you stay high? And I mean, it's a very difficult spot that they're in right now. You know,
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, and I'm sure a bunch of them have like, you know, a ridiculous amount of inventory that they need to try and get rid of. But like, yeah, I don't know. You need to start
Jake,
stocking up on the cheap stuff. And
did you lock your wife out of the house?
No, long story.
You did. Okay, fair enough. Okay. We're moving on.
No, she went out the other door, and then that locked, so she could only get back in through this door.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very long story. Thank you for taking the time to share the long story with us.
Well, I could have gone into more detail, but that was the long story short.
Yeah, so NDPs, yeah, probably a big pivot in that market coming soon if they want to.
I think it's already here. Like, we've already seen barrel slash prices on their older stuff.
And barrel prices in general have dropped significantly. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, you know, the people who have been around for a couple of years and were buying barrels for the last 3-4 years, they might be in a lot of trouble. But there also might be some new people who right now have had some ideas that haven't made a move yet, that realize, hey, we could be way underpricing everybody in the market, and I've got this really cool label that is going to catch on. So we might I'm wondering see
if, like, because Smoke Wagon runs like extremely lean from like an inventory perspective, because he just can't hold it in Nevada. I wonder if they're going to start like really undercutting on like their, you know, like base SKUs and really try and...
Well, he kind of has. Like, his base SKU price now is $29.99.
Oh, gee, yeah, it's pretty good.
Guy, remember they were all the rage, and now we never talk about Smoke Wagon anymore? Rip.
The problem with that base SKU, though, is, like, at that price point, you're targeting people who like Buffalo Trace. And, yeah it's a great alternative. It's a 90 proof, you know, younger, it's a whiskey, but it's a great alternative to Buffalo Trace if you can't find Buffalo Trace. But his brand is more, in general, targeted toward the whiskey snob, the bourbon snob, who wants that rare and limited bottle. So I think he's probably running into a marketing issue with getting that $29.99 SKU in the right hands.
Yeah, but I mean, even with the you know, the higher proof, like more specialty kind of bottles that they sell, like, he's in a really good position to, like, because like he buys only you know, a handful of barrels at a time, bottles them and sells them, you know. Like, when I say handfuls, he's probably buying like a couple hundred or something at a time, but like,
which is handfuls for a nationwide brand.
Like, I mean, that's like he could be super competitive on price, even for like the like, you know, cast strength offerings and like even single barrels. Like, I'm sure that the prices he's getting on his barrels are like dirt cheap compared to a few years ago. So he could do something really crazy and start slashing his prices and really upset things.
Gold Eagle Jake, I have a question to get your input from a store owner on this. First off, like a new barrel batch number, what is that going for on retail?
80.
So if people are walking up and down the aisle, go ahead. Sorry,
but they've also upped their age statement. So like they kept their prices the same. For a while they were like 5-year minimum. Now they're like 8-year minimum.
Okay. So question then. So if someone's walking in the Gold Eagle, are they what is more likely that they would spend $80 on the new barrel batch release for 8-year whiskey, or a 5-year whiskey that's from similar distillers, but the bottle name says "Come and Get Me" and it's got a picture of Nicolas Maduro dancing on the front? Like, which bottles move first? Just wondering. Just hypothetical guess.
I mean, I think that is just going to depend on what person is walking through the whiskey aisle.
But that's also because you're talking about like a single barrel, right, Dan? Versus
Small
blend.
batch.
It's probably a blend that he's going to get.
I would want national distribution on this because it's hilarious, and I need the right influencer to grab it and post about it. So like,
it's going to depend.
You're going to price it at the same as barrel?
No, I said $35, $45, I think.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, you're going to get.
I think it's going to. Yeah, it's going to like if somebody is into that and thinks that's funny, like they're going to buy it. But barrel has a loyal fan base. There's people that every time there's a new batch of barrel that comes out, they're asking me, "When are you getting it? When are you getting it? When are you getting it?" And then there's other people who could care less or would only buy it if they try it and thought it was really good.
So basically what you're saying on this then is that my mean bottle is a 50-50 toss if it's going to go up against barrel. But if it's going to go up against every other NDP, I'm probably...
I think you're probably... I think you're...
Bucks. It's going to be moving.
I think you're probably ahead, and I wouldn't even price it that cheap. I would probably price it at 50 just because the person, as long as the label looks, cool and the bottle looks cool, it doesn't look like it was thrown together by a 12-year-old. I think the person who thinks that's funny doesn't care what it costs. They're going to buy that bottle. And Gold Eagle's going to carry it because we ship. And that's something that we would probably do a lot of damage with shipping.
I think that's your golden ticket for an NDP is just like the reason I thought about this was years ago. I was in 2020. I was up in Mackinac, mainland, not the island, and we were at they didn't have. I remember I was thinking about you, Jake R. specifically, was because we were in some brew pub smokehouse. And all of their beer names were hilarious. And I wanted to get a 6-pack of Epstein Didn't Kill Himself for Jake R. But they didn't have it in 6-packs. It just would have come in a standard growler. And that's when I thought, like, yeah, I would buy that for somebody in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me? That's how I would do NDPs. That's just where that idea came from. Stick out. So. But to each their own. All we know is Jake R's distillery is going to suck ass and no one's going to go to the Carolinas to go see his shitty distillery. So that's all we know.
Don't know shit.
No.
It's a destination for beer. I think they'll get some piggybacks off of
whiskey
that.
and beer taste very similar.
I'm pretty sure I picked South Carolina. And South Carolina, especially like the coast, is a year-round destination. There's always good weather, except for hurricane season.
And right now when it's going to get down below freezing chilly out there on the coast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, enjoy that cold weather snap that you guys are going to get. It's been 45 and sunny here every day. It's been a beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be a high of 2 degrees Friday and Saturday.
Oh, I saw a negative
with a big wind chill.
High on Friday.
1 degree off. Mm-hmm.
So, well, again, we appreciate. What was the Jake? I didn't pay attention. What was the commenter's name?
Sorry, it went away.
You're very important to us. Thank you very much for that.
J Moon 3303.
Thank you, J Moon, for the discussion topic. I hope you had a good time listening. If you're
Give us
looking
more
for
discussion
good,
topics.
yeah, feel free to drop us more discussion topics. If you're just listening and you want some really good whiskey, and you live in 40 out of the 50 states, 52, let's call it, because Greenland and Canada are going to be part of the USA here pretty soon anyways. Jake, where can they find good whiskey and get it shipped to them?
goldeaglewine.com. Follow us on Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine. Follow us on Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits. And come swing on by in Libertyville if you're local. But yeah, thanks for
What are some
thanks for
upcoming
listening.
events,
Thanks
Jake?
for all the
What are
support.
some
We have a couple of Scotch events.
You just
officially
interrupted his plug.
No, he's
trying to
good.
make it
I
better.
was about done. We've got a couple Scotch events on the calendar. If you are a Scotch fan, this is going to air on Sunday, the first Tuesday, so 2 days from now. We have a Burns Night Scotch event, which is a ton of fun. We have somebody come dressed up in a kilt that's going to do the presentation. We feature 6 different Scotch distilleries, so you're getting a little taste of everything. And then after we all have 6 glasses of whiskey, we recite a poem together as a group. And this has been like a big hit every year. So if you even like Scotch a little bit, this is a great fun event to come to. Break up your January. But I mentioned earlier that we talked to the master distiller at MGP, and we discussed with him, we don't have a date yet for this, but we discussed with him coming out for 2 nights, back-to-back events, Monday night being a traditional masterclass style, and then Tuesday night being a blend immersive event where you get to create your own blend of different MGP mash bills. And he kind of walks through what he's doing when he's creating blends for Remus. So keep an eye out for that, because I'm sure that one will fill up as soon as we put it up.
You also have, still going on with those releases, a January sale going on.
We do. Rye January. This is probably the last week to take advantage of it, but 12% off all rye whiskeys. Can't get better than that. We've got, when it comes to rye, the current inventory on the shelf is insane compared to bourbon, just because it doesn't sell as fast. So make sure you take advantage, save some money, stock up on some good ryes for the year.
Yeah, look out for this guy.
Ooh, that Old Lovo. So good.
Old
Sold
Louisville,
out at the
8-year,
blind, but we're getting more.
toasted, yeah.
Awesome. Jake, if people want to go back and hear about 2 really cool distilleries near Shitty Distillery, where can they find those episodes and other episodes we've done in the past?
You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, or pretty much any other podcast platform. Watch us on YouTube and Spotify. Another shout out to Adam. Thanks for the Michter's 10 Rye. It was very, very tasty. And check out his podcast, To Catch a Con Man. I think available on pretty much any streaming platform as well.
All right, boys. Well, thanks again. This was fun. We will see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.